Oh, hello. I didn't see you come in. Oh, come on, pull up a chair. I just made some hot cocoa. Welcome to another League of Dracula 2025 game. This time we've got Terminus playing as the hunters, and he'll be hunting down Snuffleupagus. So let's find out what's gonna happen. With you today is me, your host, Captain Gyro. Thank you for being here, and let's have a fun game. Hopefully it'll be an exciting one. Dracula, considering his options here about where to start, looks like we'll be starting with the superhero start today. So called because of Godalming's wealth being able to facilitate a powerful hand for Dr. Seward. Ooh, hired scouts. Nothing. Swing and a miss. Better luck next time. Jonathan Harker. Will he be allied? He will be allied. I like it. Local rumors on Van Helsing. Not super helpful. And Mina with the knife. That is a big knife. Getting some tickets, the usual stuff. Usual first week preparations. Can't just go chasing after Dracula. Gotta get ready. Gotta get yourself a nice hand of cards going. Throws away the dogs. Oh, we found him. We found him off another hired scouts. Well played, Terminus. Well played. Now, this is where things get interesting because it's likely that this starting location will not be misdirected, which means it'll be converted to a lair, which means it could have some potential future impact here. So we may want to deduce where that lair is. Or, well, where the starting location is. Future lair. Snuffleupagus, as we know, likes himself a good lair. And I think Bordeaux is a fine place for a lair. Paris, not too shabby either. Heck, even Le Havre has its uses, you know. You put a nasty encounter there, and Van Helsing comes over from the channel and lands in Le Havre. Get a little value out of it that way. So we'll be wanting to figure out where that is. Not only that, but it'll help us figure out where this next card is. Okay, where did he go? I suspect Paris. But, you know, I've been wrong before. A handful of times, a very small number of times. Longtime viewers of the channel may recall an instance or two where Captain Gyro has been wrong. So what's Mina got? Escape route. Ooh, that's good. That's a good card for her right here. You can move in and you can close in on one of these encounters if you need to without too much fear of Dracula lurking about ready to ambush you with a sneak attack. At least he didn't get to hide on it. That's pretty good for the hunters. He was robbed of any opportunity for a hide shenanigan on that first encounter. Sorting out the tickets. Makes good sense. I think as Mina, you want to get the white 3 here, maybe go to Paris. A little premature, maybe, perhaps, but perhaps not. You know, depending on the items. You know, she's got a garlic wreath and a holy circle. Maybe you don't do that, but she's got a stake and a heavenly host. Maybe you go for it. Figure out the horse situation later. Where'd he go? I suspect he's moving in the center of the board here. I think that would probably be preferable to Santander shenanigans via Bordeaux. Always possible, but yeah, I think I'd be over here. Maybe you go through Paris to Strasbourg or something like that. Maybe you do go to Santander and then 48. You know, Mina trains right over you. Van Helsing supplying here. Tosses out the garlic wreath. Mina gonna move? No, just gonna get through the decks. Fine with that. She's throwing out a garlic wreath. I mean, you've got to hope with Godalming's great wealth that, you know, he traded Seward a horse already. Then Seward can get to Knot in a timely fashion rather than having to take a long time to get there. Unless, of course, the tickets aren't straightened out, which is very likely this early on. Could be that, you know, it's got the horse, doesn't have all the white ones, doesn't want to risk losing the horse. Which again, depending on what Mina's holding on to, maybe she can just go deal with the encounter. You know? There's no rumor token. It's probably not a fighter vampire. She could take a train to 8 or to Paris and then just move there. That's just 2 days of travel compared to Seward, who's got to go 36, 15, 39. Godalming probably going to keep supplying. Yeah. Throws out the stake. I find it pretty unlikely Dracula to move to 36, but it might be worth a check anyway. The horses are going already. Wow. Fast Horse Friday. Love to see it. And check Toulouse. Okay. I think I may have checked Clermont-Ferrand instead if I were to really quibble with the move, but Toulouse is fine too. Get a little bit of information. You know, it's possible Drac went to 8, went to Toulouse. So that at least gives you a little intel, but I think I like Clermont-Ferrand better because you don't have to worry about rolling about the horses the next day. You don't have to worry about it. You can just walk there or take a carriage. Continuing to ticket. It makes you wonder about the ticket situation. Did he take a risk going with the horses? Or is it safe? I think one of the worst things about losing a horse is it's not, I mean, it's terrible that you don't have the horse anymore, but what really hurts is that Dracula knows about it. I think that's really where you take a big loss from losing the horse, because once Dracula knows so-and-so doesn't have a horse, he can play around that really easily. Unless you've got like a sneaky sense of emergency up your sleeve or something like that. Could be really dangerous to give Dracula that information. Le Havre. Okay. Jonathan Harker pulling some weight there. Well, that'll be layered before Van Helsing gets there, unless he excellent weathers. What do you do? Do you excellent weather if you have it, or do you just say, the heck with it, I'll move on to your lair. Take my 2 damage like a man. Discarding 2 rifles. Ooh. And the horse from Seward. It's another 2. Love to see it. Dr. Doolittle, the horse whisperer. No ambush. What's Van Helsing gonna do? I think you kind of have to get him moving. Get him in the action. It is excellent weather. Well, we'll see if that pays off. Isn't it interesting how he always seems to draw it? What's Drac doing though? Is this like 15, 24, 51, 9? You know, a little loop like that could take you right back to your lair in Le Havre. Okay, we stake the aristocratic. Makes pretty good sense. I mean, you don't want to get caught in a night fight, but at the same time, I don't know. You know, it's Dr. Seward. You've got another day before it matures. Maybe you could just hold on to the stake. You know, search it. Maybe you find a hoax. Maybe you find an aristocratic. Get to keep your stake. If you do run into a fighter vamp, oh, you just run away. Oh, excuse me. You just run away. You know, maybe take some damage, but you escape, you stake it the next day. And it's Dr. Seward, so he can rest off that damage. Then again, you know, night fights can be pretty dangerous. You get mesmerized, you get plotted on, get clawed. All of a sudden it's not looking too good. But he will be stickless. No more stick for you, Doctor. What do we do, Van Helsing? Do we move off the lair? What if Dracula goes there? What if he's in Brussels right now, hiding? We need data. We need data. Paris, okay, that's something. That's valuable intel at this stage. Dangerous, you know. What if he made a direct line? What if he went straight to Strasbourg, Nuremberg? It could be as far as Zagreb. Okay. Probably as far as she could move. I feel like if she could move to Paris, you'd want to get a psychic bond done. At least it would tell you a little bit. I worry though. I worry about 51 to 41. But oh, Van Helsing with the dogs. That's soil. I mean, even if he did make a direct line, even if he went 51-41 and onward. Good news is, you know, you've got your horses on Seward at least. Maybe other hunters are holding on to horses that we don't know about. Godalming could take the train back to Vienna if need be. Still a lot of game left to be played, so it's not like you wouldn't be able to catch up to him, but if he is doing that, it's going to take you a while to catch up to him. And by the time you do that, he's going to go to sea, and then everything at that point will depend on how effective his trail is. Good news is you still have Harker, so you don't necessarily have to go charging off checking all these locations. You could just let Harker do that for you. But it will mean a little bit of lost time. But if you make up for that with some efficiency, that could be pretty acceptable. Make up for it with a few supplies you supply today. Soil. I mean, he's not damaged. Yeah. He won't be able to do the Burke-Molly maneuver by back before the rules changed and the trail slides first, you know, next turn he could dark call, right? And then mature the soil. But game doesn't work like that anymore. He'll have to mature the soil first. Which means no healing for Dracula, so maybe he's instead gonna lair it. It wouldn't be a bad lair. I mean, a little desecrated soil in Paris. Not a terrible thing to have. Okay. Maybe that means there's some trading that needs to be going on. That would explain, because otherwise, why wouldn't you just check Strasbourg, right? Just go straight there. But maybe there's some trading. It has to be straightened out. Mina joining the party too. Okay. Gonna get some cards and some tickets straightened out, get our ducks in a row. Jonathan Harker's gonna tell us what's going on, and then the game is afoot. Godalming and Mina trading. He did throw out 2 rifles, so maybe there's weapons like knives that need to get put in order, holy hosts that need to get put in order, or possibly horses. I think it'd be likely we'll find out tomorrow, because they'll be revealing the horses if they have them. Dr. Seward and Mina trading now. Where do you think he went, chat? Let me know what you think. Did he go to 51? I suspect. That's what I would want to be doing. Because if I'm Dracula and I'm in Knot, and the hunters know I'm in Knot, and you've got Godalming and Seward both over here in 58, the first thing I'm going to be thinking is I need to get over there so that I can get around them once they close in, because they're going to close in, right? They're going to move on the train to 25, or they're going to start taking horses to Zurich, that kind of thing. And then once they do that, you want to be comfortably in Nuremberg by the time they start closing in on your encounters, so you can just give them the slip at Munich. That's where I'd want to be. Yeah, that's definitely how I would want things to play out if I was Drac. Strasbourg with Hyde, interesting. Wonder why the Hyde? Well, what was he cooking up there exactly? Maybe he was trying to keep his distance from Seward and Godalming, right? Like, he doesn't know if they're gonna roll a yellow 1 and have to go to Munich, and then, oh, there he is. Or maybe, you know, they checked Nuremberg a little earlier than he suspected, or something like that. It feels like he just kind of wanted to hover in place for a moment. Yeah, I agree, Scott Sword. You play it too early, it sort of gives things away, right? Like, if he was in Zurich, for example, and then he played wolf form, it kind of is really telegraphed that he went east and not west. Whereas, you know, you save it for a little later, by then, hopefully, it'll be a little less obvious where he went with it. Going to Strasbourg. Any ambush with the Hyde card? It's a spy. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of thinking maybe he'd send Van Helsing there. You know, Van Helsing has the dogs. Ooh, does he have another weapon though? Knife. Okay. Well played. Now Dracula knows about knife. And he knows 1, 2, 3 rifles are in the discard, so that leaves 1 rifle. Newspapers, nice. Oh, what's he up to, man? What's he doing? Is this 24? This is Geneva to Zurich? Then Zurich to Nuremberg? Okay, there's a yellow one. This is your chance to check Geneva. Or do you just go to Zurich and go ahead and get it out of the way? Oh, just checking Milan. Okay. That's okay. That's an okay check, I guess. I feel like I kind of would have rather checked 24 Zurich. Also would have rather, I would have rather Van Helsing gone to 51. Because he has the dogs, it's like you want to get some use out of the dogs. And obviously there's no way for him to know Spy was there, but dogs are like slightly more useful than you think, simply because of the large numbers of encounters that they work against. You know, it could have been a spy, it could have been a wolves, it could have been a saboteur, it could have been a rats. Like, it's probably not a rats, but you know, with the Hyde card revealed like that, you gotta think one of those, you know, with no rumor token and the Hyde card, you gotta think that like your dogs are gonna get you some kind of value out of that. And on top of that, you can have Seward do something else. You know? Strasbourg's revealed. Maybe have Seward check Nuremberg. Maybe have Seward check Munich, if that's more your style. I think either of those would have been pretty good bets, because you're almost certainly moving closer to Dracula. Not to a certainty, but highly likely. So now we've got this card's either 41 or it's 24. Then Zurich. Then the card after that is either 41 or 24, whichever isn't on the trail before, or it's Munich. So 41, 24, or even 60 before it was real by newspapers, all pretty good checks. All pretty good places to check out. But, you know, then again, maybe Van Helsing's items aren't as good as he would like, and he'd rather keep him in Paris, where he can continue to supply and get better items. So, if that's the case, you know, I'm all for it. What do we got? Hired scouts. I had a feeling. Where do you check? It's a grab. Yeah, good call. So this is in fact Munich. And the card before Zurich. Still 24-41. Which do you check? I think you send Dr. Seward to 41. Yeah, send Dr. Seward to 41. Then Van Helsing can deal with 24 if it's not there. Yeah, I like that move. And it turns out it's Nuremberg. Van Helsing can just supply, get a third event. What do you toss? Holy Circle. Mina will deal with Zurich. Still no rumors yet. I like how both players are playing right now, despite some very marginal quibbles I might have. I rather like how both players are handling things. I like Snuffleupagus's trail in particular. Get rid of these cards. Use them up. Make the hunters suffer the effects of the spies and the delaying effects of the aristocratics. All that kind of semi-mediocre stuff. Yeah. Get them delayed. I really approve. Kind of unfortunate that the hunters were able to get rid of both those delaying encounters back to back right there. You know, rather than seeing 2 hunters delayed, you'd probably rather see 1 hunter get delayed twice. But you gotta take what you can get. It's also not a critical delay, like they're not delayed at like a really critical juncture. But if I'm Dracula, the more delays the better. I think aristocratics and saboteurs are both really underrated Really underrated cards, because the delays are very powerful, especially when you've got this nice fat long trail that they have to go after. The more you can just keep them tied up doing that, the longer they have to spend doing that, the better. Gonna buy him some time while he gets his plans in the east sort of squared away, gets his trail in the east laid out. Oh, what's Van Helsing gonna do? Keep supplying. Okay. Slow and steady wins the race here. I'm really not opposed to that right now. We know where Dracula went. We can take our time going to Munich, going to Zagreb. By then it'll be time to figure some new stuff out. Probably Sarajevo, you know, maybe Szeged. We'll start getting that worked out, and by then we'll have a big fat hand of events. We'll have all the best events. We'll have both the Renewed Vigors and the CG and Lucy's Revenge and Sister Agatha and maybe a nice long night. Yeah, this is fine. It's sort of still a stalemate though, you know. I mean, Dracula's not displeased with this outcome so far either, because like I said, he's gonna have all the time he needs to get a nice long trail situated in the east before Seward and Mina come after him, and maybe Godalming too. But not as long as you might think. Let's see what happens here. Maybe Godalming hits the horses, he goes to Munich. Then Seward hits the horses, he goes to Zagreb. That's 2 encounters in one day. Anytime you can hit 2 in one day, you're winning. You're gaining some serious advantage there. Let's see what happens. Horsies? Horsey time? Nope, supplying. He's gone through the whole item deck. So, what's going on here? He's even got 3 events in hand too. Maybe he's trying to get rid of some of the bad ones. Getting rid of something. Got rid of sense of emergency. Ooh. You know, it is possible to supply too much. That sense of emergency could have had Godalming in Zagreb today, you know? Then Dr. Seward's free to, I don't know, check Vienna or something, or go to Zagreb and help Godalming heal, maybe. You know, if you're, obviously you gotta do what you gotta do, but whenever you're throwing out useful events, it's almost like you're just wasting an action, because that event card represents an action, and you're tossing it out with no effect. Van Helsing moving. I'm gonna have another trade maybe, and Mina will deal with Munich. Seward checks 58, so we know Dracula didn't go north from Zagreb, which, I mean, that's I'm not opposed to that really, because if you find out, oh, he did go to 58, that's pretty good information at this stage. Nuremberg's a lair, so that would put Dracula in like Leipzig or Hamburg, and you know, you can kind of close in on him at that point. So, while it seems unlikely that Dracula would do something like that, it's still it's one of those situations where if he did do the tricky thing, it'd be good to know about it because you could maybe really capitalize. No, I think it's far more likely he's bumping around in this area right here. Belgrade, Bucharest, that sort of thing. Escape route from Mina, because escapes the reckless vampire fight. Well played, well played. I like that he didn't ambush there, because he knew Mina had an escape route anyway. So, what's it going to get you? Nothing, really. You might as well let her search and use up her night action, lose the escape route that way, instead of having a night action available where she can maybe ticket or something. So yeah, I think that's well played to hold off on the ambush. But surely somebody can kill this thing. I mean, Godalming just threw out a stake. Is it because he already has one? Does Van Helsing have a horse? We still don't know. We don't know if Mina has a horse. Okay, we know Godalming and Seward have a horse. Now you ambush. Yeah, ambush. Yeah, let's have a little action here. Let's have us a little fight. Look out, it's gonna fang you. I mean, look out, it's gonna claw you. Going with the punch. He's one of those punch first type of guys. I've heard of these guys. Now what? I think knife is a little telegraphed. I think mesmerize is probably coming. Yeah. Yeah, see. They love to mesmerize after a punch. Now the knife won't kill it. Pretty critical at this juncture. Defang now. Claws. He must not have had the fang. I think a player of Snuff's caliber knows when, you know, you see the knife like that, it's time to go in for the fang. It's time to get yourself a little point on the board, but had to settle for the claw, it looks like. Now will Van Helsing show a horse? That would be pretty important right now. No horse, he's gonna supply. Gets rid of the dog. Mina showing planned ambush now. She's gonna horse. Horse economy's working out pretty well so far. Where to, Mina? 11. Trying to stay on the rail line, perhaps just trying to eliminate tricky possibilities that Dracula could have pulled. Stake, yeah. Die, blood-sucking devil. Yeah, I'm not sure about 11. Obviously, it depends on what his plan is, what he's cooking up. You know, might have a chartered carriage or something going on, but I think I'd have been fine with maybe 53, you know, because, well, I guess it's possible Dracula went 11, 28, 10. Could have done something like that. 53 feels a lot more likely. Feels like you'd want to go there. So what do we do now? Do we keep supplying and see, let Jonathan Harker tell us where the next card is after Zagreb? Or do we start poking around, you know, knocking on doors? Hey, hello, have you seen Dracula? Have you seen a man in a cape and a top hat? Difficult to say. Difficult to say. It all depends on what the hunters are holding here, you know, because you want to clear up Zagreb, but who do you send to do it? All depends on what card do you suspect is in Zagreb, and then who has the cards to foil that encounter. Dang, they're all so deadly serious. You know, I never really noticed. Look at Godalming. That is the face of a grimly determined man. Dr. Seward here, he's not playing around either. Mina Harker certainly does not look like she's having a fun time, but she's also been having her blood sucked, so I get that. And then Van Helsing just has this, like, derpy look on his face. But, you know, I mean, it's serious business killing a Dracula, so I don't expect them to all be smiling like goofballs. So he's finally letting the wolf out. Barking at the moon here. He's still supplying. He's trying to do his best pizza wizard impression. Yeah, I mean, you'd use the steak, right? So you need something new now. Makes good sense. Makes good sense. Now Dr. Seward can just jump over Zagreb and try Sarajevo, right? Yeah, start making some gains here on Dracula. Start catching up. Another hide card. This guy loves his hide card. What is this wolf form? Did he wolf, like, from somewhere to Athens, or to, like, 17 or 56? Is that what's going on? Lucky find. Ooh. That's interesting. Garlic wreath. Come on, garlic wreath. No. Nope, he doesn't want the garlic either. Alright, let's fight you. You top-hatted fiend. Give him the crucifix, Doc. Yeah, see, crucifix would have been just what the doctor ordered. 60% of the time it works every time. Now you're mesmerized. How are you going to kill it now? Ooh, now you're doubly mesmerized. One for each of his eyes. What do you do now? Do you punch? Do you dodge? I think you dodge. I would probably rather dodge here than punch into a fang. Or a strength. Yeah, there's the punch. Well, at least it wasn't a fang. Now, do you escape and he fangs you on the escape? I think you just do it. Yeah, you just escape. If he fangs you, he fangs you. You don't want a knife, and turns out he wasn't holding on to the fangs. He was just holding on to another strength, and he just plays it. Scout Sword, everything I say makes perfect sense. Don't question me. If it seems like it doesn't make sense, it's just because you're either thinking too much about it or you're not thinking enough. Okay, there's the dodge. Now you can try to escape. Good call, calling out the fangs. Yeah, well played. Well played. Took 4 damage, so things could have been better, but, you know, at least we didn't get fanged. No ambush from the second card. Uh-oh. Dr. Seward could end up, you know, if he wants to search this out at night, he's gonna end up in a battle. With 5 health, that could be dangerous. Mina gonna deal with a grab. It's a bat. Ooh. So she will be imperiled unless Dr. Seward is able to deal with this vampire. She will be quite imperiled. Her life will be in jeopardy. Here's the stake. Now he's going to choose the encounter card resolve order. What are we going to do? There's got to be 2 of them, right? Okay, so he's going to kill the real one. And now he's going to be in a fight with the hide card vamp. Now do you... Man, he's only got 5 health. I mean, if you could kill this thing, you save Mina, but... Kinda risky. As in kind of very risky. Very dangerous. What if this thing killed both of them, you know? Dr. Seward gets killed here in this fight, and Mina gets batted into it, and then she gets killed? That would be dreadful. Okay, he'll live at least. Dracula finally gets his... Oh, no point. Yeah, no, it wasn't an ambush. No point for old Drac. Yeah, pretty good bats. Pretty good bats. Let's see if it pays off for him. What's Van Helsing doing? Trading to Dr. Seward. But what's he trading at? Heroic leap? Could that be what's going on? He is delayed. He pushes into the hide card. Reckless. Ambush. See if she plays the planned ambush. Should. Yeah, you should play it. Now she's revealing hypnosis. We really don't want her to die with that. That's what you call a good card. Okay. Mesmerize. No, no mesmerize. You must not have had it. Run! Run for your life! Flee! Yeah, you just take your 4 damage there. Take your lumps, move on. This thing won't threaten anyone ever again. You can't hurt anyone anymore. What happens to vampires on the hide card, you know? They can't mature. What happens to them? I guess they politely agree to just fade into obscurity. Communic scrub. Multiple layers. Ooh, another rumor. Really trying to put some pressure on them. Time is running out, hunters. We've added the next despair token. Pretty soon you'll be going to sea, sailing away. And with full health, that could be game. How much more time can we devote to dealing with this trail? Day resting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. He's pretty hurt. You move on to a mob, you have to start discarding cards. You don't want that. Rufus Smith. If you have Surprising Return, you definitely search. But if you don't have Surprising Return, what do? Do you ally him? Okay, he searches. So this means what? Sofia and then Constanta? No, Ivarna? Yeah. I highly suspect that's what's going on here. After all, it seems to jive with the way Dracula's been playing the game so far, which is a fairly direct route in most instances. And that puts him in, oh, I don't know, probably Salonika? Haha, you know I'm kidding. He's in Athens. Old Drax in Greece. Can't hide, though. Probably don't want to feed yet, either. So what do you do? What do you do? Go ahead and go to sea. Okay. Yeah, that makes good sense. They've still got a trail to deal with here, and not worth sticking around and having them renewed vigor you and sense of emergency and horses and forewarns, and that's the game. Nah, you don't want to mess around with all that. Just the jig is up. They know where you're at. Say goodbye. Time for, I don't know, Cagliari or something like that, maybe. But Terminus handling this trail rather nicely, hasn't let anything spiral out of control. Hunters are still in pretty good nick. Dracula hasn't gained a single point. It is Varna. That checks out. I was bang on the money there. He's been playing the cards that he has. You know, the cards that you're dealt will determine the kind of strategy that you adopt. And when you have Jonathan Harker and, you know, an early knowledge of Dracula's location, that's a smart way to play. The slow and steady, we don't need to jump him right now game. We'll just diligently deal with the trail here. Burn him out of the east, send him to sea, and now we can use this last week to try to tackle him. But he's riding a very fine line. He's riding a very fine line here because, you know, you still have to kill this thing, and you've used up a lot of your stakes at this point. Dracula has a lot of health, and you're going to be dancing around the east killing vampires while he's laughing it up in Cagliari. So it's going to be time for some serious emergency movement at this point. Going to have to finish these things off, mop up that trail, and intercept Dracula all at the same time. Could be a bit of a tall order. Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate evil presence there. What are you gonna do? You know, by Tuesday he'll be in the Turanian. By Thursday, he'll be feeding in Cagliari. By Sunday, he could be as far as the North Atlantic. Very tricky. Terminus is really going to have to... It's not that he's necessarily too far behind, but he's going to have to really pull a rabbit out of his hat to make the catch here on Dracula. Yeah, start sending Mina out of there. Bodyguards in Munich. Mina with the knife. How do you deal with this new vampire? I don't... yeah, okay, surprising return, Rufus Smith, I like it. But will it be enough? Get Rufus in play. You're gonna bring Drac down to 10. He won't have wolf form for a bit, so... I think it is highly likely he'll end up in Cagliari to buy time for the wolf form to fall off the trail. Good surprising return, good Rufus Smith. I like all of that. Still ticketing here. Yeah, maybe you... I don't know, though. Maybe you do. Maybe you have Godalming go there, and Godalming and Seward can team up on it in the day, in a 2-on-1 fight. I think maybe that's not a terrible idea. What's in Sofia? Probably another Bats. Maybe a Wolves. We haven't seen one of them yet. Good too. What's he gonna do? You gonna double team this thing? I think maybe you double team it, and you have Van Helsing and Mina try to kill Dracula together. No ambush. That makes sense. Now Seward can search it. No, he's gonna supply. Ooh. I mean, it makes sense to an extent, right? Seward's undersupplied. It's not going to mature today. It's going to mature the day after tomorrow. So... Or tomorrow, I should say. It all kind of depends. Like, Godalming and Seward might be out of the game at this point. Short of maybe... You know, Dracula goes to Cagliari to feed. Excellent weather could get them back involved. You know, it wouldn't be great. You'd only be as far as the Ionian. But by the time Dracula's getting ready to wolf form from the Mediterranean, by then, you know, with excellent weather, you'll at least be in a relevant position. Even if you might not be able to kill Dracula with one of those guys, they could land in Genoa or something like that, and that'll deter Dracula from wanting to go to those spaces, right? So just having them in a threatening position by then could be important. Or a chartered carriage, but yeah, you need like chartered carriage, sense of emergency to start posing a threat again. So they're not necessarily out of the hunt yet. But depending on what cards Terminus does and doesn't have on them, they might be. In which case, I think you do try to kill this vampire. Because if they're so far away from Dracula anyway, maybe you just, you know, you hard commit to having them stop the matures in the east while you still can. And then for Dracula, you know, Mina and Van Helsing finish him off. So this is almost certainly Cagliari. I mean, you could end up in 25, but this seems so crazy. A 10 health, you know, Van Helsing steps onto you, hits you with the forewarn. There goes your fog. Mina moves in. It's not necessarily game over because they still have a lot of work to do in that 2-on-1, but why would you want to risk all that when you could just go to Cagliari and feed, go up to 13, go back to C, now you're at 11, you wolf form, you're back to 10. No renewed vigor, so we're not going to see like Mina go to 25 and then excellent weather on to 13 or something like that. And again, with one of the excellent weathers is already in the discard pile, so Drac has a little bit of peace of mind knowing that he's not going to get jumped by 2 hunters today in 13. Whereas if you don't reveal that excellent weather early on, you keep that possibility alive in Dracula's mind. Like, oh, it's unlikely, but what if they have double excellent weather? They could just jump right onto me, the 2 of them. And I mean, that can actually be really effective. That can get Dracula to put down a fog in 13 because he's afraid of that possibility. Then he doesn't have the fog for later. The more Drac knows, the better he can make a plan. Every card revealed gives him more information. So, we're having this fight now. I love these. These 2-on-1s are the best. The new vampires. What's it gonna do? I mean, I'd probably mesmerize somebody. I'm not sure who. Looks like he's going for Godalming. Okay, good strength. Seward with the punch as well. Yeah, good punches. You want to play around the mesmerize. The sooner in the fight you get mesmerized, the more damage is being mitigated by that card. So preventing your hunters from getting mesmerized in the first round is smart, so that they can continue to deal full damage with their weapons for the rest of the fight. Now what? Now comes the mesmerize. Claws. Against the knife. Yeah, already down to 2. That's the power of teamwork. Teamwork. Take that. Double knife. Well played, well played. Now, do you go to Valona? Do you go to Athens? Do you just start hauling as fast as you can back towards Munich to try to intercept? Maybe you send one to Valona and the other starts moving towards Munich. And of course, let me guess, Sarajevo and Zagreb are both layers. Yep, Snuff's a good player. He knows the power of the 2 best spots in the game as far as layers go. Sarajevo, Zagreb. And one unknown layer. One hidden layer. How did this happen? How did I miss this? What card got layered? That's Sofia. That's what it is. So it was a bats after all. I knew it. I knew it was a bats. A lot of good predictions from the captain tonight. Okay. Getting ready to catch him when he leaves Cagliari, perhaps. you CG him? No, it's Mystic Research. Okay. Yeah, I think CG would maybe be just a tad premature. Much as it would be great to deny him the feed, wouldn't close out the game. And you're holding on to Hypnosis anyway. Ooh, that's good timing. I'll be having that fog, Mr. Blood-sucking devil. That's a big swing right there. That's important. Now he'll feed. Updated layers. So grab is no longer a layer. Okay. Well, that's well played. I mean, if they take the horses, they'll either land at Sofia or Sarajevo at this point. So you're forcing them to deal with one of those layers, unless, you know, you go to Belgrade instead. Then you can use the second horse to jump over Sarajevo and onto Zagreb. But at least that way, you know, you're losing a little bit of time. It's not as efficient. He does in fact feed. Who saw that coming? Do you go to Valona, or do you start moving west again? Okay. Yeah, a little chartered carriage action. Start moving and grooving. Still quite far from Dracula, but, you know, tomorrow Dracula's gonna have to go to sea. And then, you know, Godalming could maybe get to Munich, and by then you're at least relevant. Like, yes, if Dracula decides to go to Spain, you're still too far away to do anything, but by having a hunter near this region, you're discouraging Dracula from any funny business. You know, wolf forming to 25, for example, or wolf forming to 37 or to 60. You've got somebody nearby to discourage that kind of behavior, which it's better than nothing. It's not quite what you want. He's not like in, you know, Bordeaux ready to intercept, but at least it can help narrow the decision making for the vampire, which helps you in turn. It helps you predict what's going to happen next. And he does send Seward to Belgrade. Excellent weather now. Oh, really? Why is he doing that? He must have heroic leap. It's got to be a heroic leap. Why else would you do something so crazy? It seems so rash, but If you heroic leap Drac now, and he's already fed, he only will have the option to hide or to go back to sea. And no ambush either. And Mina takes to sea, which is, I think that's actually not a bad move, because if Dracula, survives this fight, there's the heroic leap. Dracula survives the fight, he could hide and try to finish off Van Helsing in the next combat. But by having Mina here, that really discourages that line of play, because she'll just jump right on you, and that'll be a 2-on-1. What a huge heroic leap. Excellently done. Still, not without its risks. Not without its risks. Dracula will take to sea now, and then he'll be able to wolf form. Only down to 8. He'll take to sea and go down to 6. And then a wolf form makes 5. But who's gonna close it out? You have to... What do? You have to get somebody... You have to get Mina together with somebody to use the hypnosis after the wolf form. Oh, what if this is a vampire? That would open up Terranian Sea again. Ooh, that wouldn't be good. Oh, it's gonna lair it. Bet he wishes that was a vampire now. Then again, he'd already played so many of them, Aristocratics too. It's pretty likely he, just didn't have one to put down at the time. Okay, Mediterranean Sea it is. If this card in Athens, though, is a vampire, that could open up Terranian Sea once more. This is a good game. Yeah, it's a pretty exciting little one. Only one combat with Dracula, that heroic leap, but between that and Rufus Smith and his very avoidant play style so far, it's really starting to take its toll. Maybe Seward should have gone to Athens. Starting to think maybe he should have. Cleared up whatever card was there, and it's not like he's in a great spot anyway at this point. Dracula wolf forms to, say, Madrid. I mean, Dr. Seward's pretty far out of it. More ticketing. Again, it's not like he's in a terrible spot. Could still maybe catch up. It all depends on what this Athens card is. I mean, if it's a hoax, you're going to wish you'd have gone and dealt with it. Let's find out. Mature? You gonna mature a card? There we go. Finally a mature. Okay, Dracula on the board. Terranian Sea off the trail now. So an additional sea move could be incoming. Create a little bit of obfuscation, but you know, then what? Do you sea move again? Or do you land in Bari? Or do you go to Madrid? Something like that. Kind of tough to say what he'll do next. I do sense one more sea move probably coming. Because, I mean, with feed on the trail, what do you do? You wolf form to Madrid, go to like 12 or 31, and then just kind of cross your fingers. So at least if you move one more sea zone, you open up some possibilities between Spain and Italy. But what difference will that make if Mina plays Hypnosis? Gotta see what he does next, because that'll determine the strategy. I think, you know, if he wolf forms right now, do you start checking all the possibilities of a Mediterranean wolf form? Do you just kind of assume that he went to Spain? Or do you play the Hypnosis so you can figure it out for sure? My only problem is, if you play the Hypnosis and it tells you where he is, you still can't necessarily follow that up with CG for the win. You can't necessarily clinch the game off of that. Whereas I could definitely see a world where, like, he wolf forms and you figure out where he is the old-fashioned way, and then force him to see once more. At that point, he'll have to land, and you can Hypnosis CG for the win. So how tight do we want to make this, really becomes the question. Do we want to hold on till later in hopes of a sure thing, or do we want to just kind of go for it and Hypnosis and CG and kind of just hope that we get it right? Or not so much hope that you get it right, because with Hypnosis you'll know, but it won't necessarily help you if he's in, say, Madrid or something like that. You're not going to be able to force him to go to sea or force him into an awkward location, and then you'll be down 2S cards. Nah, I mean, again, it depends on what he does here, but I think you hold on to Hypnosis and CG until the last possible second here, because Drax's health is so low. He's having himself a good think about it. I don't blame him. It's tough to say what's the better call here. The wolf form now or move another C zone? Because if you move another C zone, what are you really getting out of that? I mean, it's kind of already a choice between Spain or somewhere in Italy. If you move another C zone, you're just making it a choice between other parts of Spain and other parts of Italy. So what do you really get for that? But then there's the third possibility, which is move 2 more C zones. Now you're really opening up the board between, you know, between Ionian and North Atlantic. At that point, you're really opening up the board with the obfuscation, that is to say. But you're going to be at 2 health. And then you're going to wolf form, you're going to be at 1 health. But does it really matter if they're just going to CG you anyway? So, yeah, it's very, very difficult spot. So many not good options. Yes, precisely what I'm discussing, Snuff. Exactly. There's actually a lot of possibilities for Dracula here, but all of them carry a certain risk. Yes, there are many uncertainties in the mind of the vampire, whose existence is all to him. And he's going with the wolf form now. I respect it. I think that is ultimately the right call. Because now the impetus, the onus is on the hunters now to do something about this. And it's possible they could mess this up. Hypnosis here and CG, when it turns out you're actually in Madrid, could be huge. It might result in you getting away. And now you've burned through hypnosis and CG. Or they might waste their time checking all these options like Zurich and Milan, Geneva. Give them a little. Let them waste their time checking around. Give them the opportunity to make the mistake. Whereas if you continue your sea voyage, I think they're just going to supply more, which is only going to increase the odds that they catch you. And it's also going to... With hypnosis, you know what's going to happen. If they have the CG, by the time you do land, you will get hypnosis and killed. Whereas now, they're worried that it could still be too premature to do that. I think ultimately that's the right call. See, it really just comes down to, if they want to use hypnosis and CG right now, it might not be the end of it. But if you move 2 more C zones and then they play hypnosis and CG, well, that's it. That's game. Thinking he should have just gone to CAG and landed right on top of Van Helsing, possibly. That's interesting because, You know, you want to catch Dracula in a fight and lower his health before it's like the end of week 3, right? Because if Dracula can go to sea and he has full health, he kind of has free reign to do whatever he wants, right? To close out the game. He could end up anywhere. We've all seen it happen. By the time it's the end of week 3, if he still has full health and he goes to sea, you're in a real bad spot as the hunters. But Terminus has made up for that since he couldn't catch Dracula in a fight early enough, he caught him in a fight sort of halfway through his sea voyage. He sent Van Helsing onto Cag and heroic leaped him. And that combined with the Rufus Smith, those things together sort of added up to like a fight, more or less. That's like 7 extra damage that he wouldn't have taken except for those cards, and all that together sort of helped mitigate the fact that he wasn't really able to catch him in a fight properly, so to speak. Now it's renewed vigor, speedy telegraph. Mina going to play hypnosis here probably. But I'm not sure. It depends on if you have another renewed vigor. Yeah, there's hypnosis. He's in Spain after all. If you had another renewed vigor, I would say maybe save the hypnosis. But if you only have the one, you know, maybe the time is right. So this is what I feared, you know, he's in Iberia and we know that now, but what if he's hiding in Madrid? How do you use the CG effectively? I guess you can cover Granada, Lisbon, Cadiz, and Santander, and then Dracula will be forced to go to Alicante. But what if he's already in Lisbon or Cadiz already? And then you CG him, and now he goes to sea. And he'll be down to 3, and then he'll move and be down to 1, and then he'll land in Ireland at 1 health. That could be just enough for him to win on that. Van Helsing, take to sea. Take to sea. Unless he has the CG. If Van Helsing's holding on to the consecrated ground, then you don't want to do that. Wow, this is a real battle. These guys are both giving it their all. Making good plays. Dracula struggling to stay afloat here. But regardless, he still seems to be 1 step ahead at all times. With the exception of Cagliari. You'll certainly want to move by land. I think now that you've seen the Renewed Vigor come out already, you have to hope they don't draw the second one, and you can move by land and get your 3 points. If you have to go to sea after, then you have to, but you want to get those 3 points now before you head to Ireland or something like that. So what's he doing now? Is he on a fog? Is he hiding on a fog right now, or did he already play the hide card and he just moved to a city and put down fog, or maybe there's no fog at all? Here's the other Renewed Vigor. Oh, that's huge. That's such a game changer. Now what do? You check 12? Oh no, it's just a 1. That's okay. That's okay. As long as Seward gets the 2. Oh, it could be bad though if Madrid has a bats. Mob. Ooh, that's pretty nasty right now. Dracula might be hurt, but he's not that hurt. Oh, he forewarns the mob. Huge. And then wolves. Show him your knife. Stab that wolf. Knife and pistol. Well played. Well played. But which city is he in? It's got to be 12. I also correctly called him hiding in Madrid. And I called him hiding it, or moving to 12. Let's go. I'm bang on the money tonight. The reckless ambush. This could be significant here. 2 to 4 damage. Both very valuable outcomes for Drac. And even a single point could also be the difference between victory and defeat here. So to that end, you're Godalming. Do you dodge? Do you escape? What do you do? I think you dodge. Then again, you know, it's a tough call, because I think Fangs was pretty obvious there, but you never know. Maybe he doesn't have Fangs, and also, what's 1 point if we're gonna kill him right now? What's 1 point? Doesn't matter. Let's kill him right now. Whereas, getting caught in a bad situation with plotting, that could cost you the whole game here. Dr. Seward's gonna make it. And here I was saying that Godalming and Seward were out of the running. That they were far too committed to dealing with this vampire to be able to ever catch up to Dracula. But a couple of renewed vigors later, that make all the difference in the world. 1 might not have done it, but 2 got him there. The power of renewed vigor. Always eat a good breakfast. Now the point doesn't matter so much. An additional point, that is. Oh, nice dodge. Now you escape on that. Catch Dracula in the 2v1. You let your knives fly. You let your fists fly. I think that might just be enough. need to remember here that a kill isn't really necessarily what you need. Just bringing Dracula down to 3 health would basically win you the game at this point. If you bring him down to 3 health, he can only, what? He can move, he can go to sea, and then immediately land. That's all he can do. He has no wolf form, he has no feed. He would essentially be forced to move to Granada or to Lisbon. I mean, you would still have to kill him from there, is the issue. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you do want to kill him now while your hunters are united. Because if you bring him down to 3 health and then he moves to Lisbon or he moves to Granada, now you have to guess between Lisbon and Granada. And if you guess wrong, then the other hunter is going to guess right, and they're only in a one-on-one with Drac. And they have to deal with another encounter card. And after that, Dracula move again and win the game. So I stand corrected. You actually do need to go for the kill here. Anything less is gonna reduce your chances of catching up to him. You got Mina here for backup though, which is huge, because if you do just bring Drac down to 3 hit points, then he's still going to be in a guaranteed 2-on-1 tomorrow. Possibly even 3-on-1. Ooh, Lucy's Revenge. This is huge. You won't be escaping anytime soon, and Godalming will stand and fight. This is crazy. This is a crazy good game. It's all come down to this. My money's on the hunters here. I say... I mean, you don't want Godalming to get clawed, because then a second claw would kill, even with Lucy's Revenge in play. So I think you let the guns go here. You gun him down and stop the claws. Yep, going with the gun. Godalming down to 3. Dracula down to 4. Now you throw the knives. Claws won't kill Godalming because his dead fiance is here in spirit. And yeah, that'll be that. If you've got the double knife, that'll be that. You know, maybe short of a mesmerize or strength. Yeah, that could be an issue, but he'll still only be left at 1 health. Which might be enough. What do you do as Drac here? Do you strength Godalming, get his knife away from him? Dr. Seward knifes you and you're down to 1, and then on the next turn you can claw Dr. Seward and use the... No. You'd have to claw Godalming. Lucy's Revenge. Yeah, maybe... No, yeah, you could strength Godalming, have him down to 1. Next turn you claw Seward and use the damage to finish off Godalming. No, I still got that wrong. Yeah, you'd have to claw Godalming. No knife for you. You've been mesmerized. Knife from Dr. Seward. Yup. Okay, now what? What do we do? Godalming still has a pistol. So maybe you just blast him with the pistol. All this and no CG was played. No CG for this. Just hypnosis and a couple of renewed vigors to sort of pick up the slack of the lack of CG. But he earned it. I mean, he diligently supplied through the deck and at the same time was able to stop the matures. At least enough of them. You know, I think Dracula only got one card through. So, yeah, I mean, he earned those renewed vigors through really meticulous play and refusing to stop the supply train. Really a master class in vampire hunting for Terminus, I gotta say. Really putting on a spectacular performance. Not a bad performance from Snuff either, but gotta say it's really shining. Terminus is really shining right now. Really showing us his stuff. Okay, good fangs. And this pistol will only have Drac down to 1 because of the mesmerize. Oh, he's still clinging to life. He refuses to go down. Dracula dazed, trying to make it to the final bell here. He's taking hit after hit. What do you do now? Punch him, right? Just punch him to death. Rip his head off with your bare hands. Unless Dr. Seward has, you know, a pistol. Claws. Oh, he dodges it. It's gotta be that. Dr. Seward with the punch. The Heavenly Host. Ooh, that was risky. Or maybe not. Maybe we'd seen both the fangs. Yeah, we'd seen both the fangs. So actually, very well played. What a game. Yeah. Yeah, that was a wild one. Really enjoyed that, and really solid play from both players. Terminus hanging on till the very end and clutching out the win. You love to see it. That's a dead Dracula, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, I'm going to be signing off. Thanks for joining me. Those of you who watch it later on, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And we'll see you next time. Same Drac time, same Drac channel.